Former U.S. Senator, Virginia, former governor of Virginia, all around for Washington Redskins fan, fired up about his team's big win yesterday, I'm sure. Governor, good to have you back on the show.
Good to be with you, and it is a great morning. It was a great win yesterday over Philadelphia. Really wonderful win.
I tell you what.
I couldn't hear whatever Bob said, but I'm sure you'll repeat it.
I will. That was a question. Bob actually called in from Nelly's Ford, Virginia. So I'm going to get right to his question, Governor, if I can. He said, what can we do and what can you do specifically to forward the agenda of these pipelines that basically bring energy and jobs to the area? He was focused on one in New Jersey that is supposed to run through the Pylons and Cape May. Obviously, we're focused on ours in Virginia. Everybody
it's nice to get a call like that from Nelson County.
It really is, isn't it?
Yeah, I did. When I was in the House of Delegates representing Mr. Jefferson's district and his seat, which was Albemarle and Nelson, was in Nelly's Ford right often. Well, you know, there's a couple pipelines being proposed through Virginia, and one of the godsends for America, and particularly those on the eastern part of the United States, is this Marcellus and Utica shale, and it's shale oil and shale gas. And, you know, gosh, just about 8 years ago, we thought we were running out of natural gas in our country, and now we have a plentiful supply thanks to hydraulic fracking and directional and horizontal drilling. And, you know, a lot of this is because of the genius of the free market, free enterprise system, and most productions on private land with regulation by the state rather than the federal government. Now, because of the onerous regulations that the federales are putting on electricity production, they're unfortunately outlawing coal. The only plentiful supply for affordable electricity that's an alternative really is natural gas. And so to get the natural gas to the demand for people in their homes, more people in their homes are using natural gas, as well as commercial and industrial business, as well as electricity generation. We got to get more natural gas into Virginia. And because of the prevalence of the Utica and Marcellus, and for your listeners, the Marcellus and Utica shale are generally in Pennsylvania, West Virginia, and eastern Ohio. So we could get natural gas from there rather than getting it from the Gulf of Mexico area, say Texas and Louisiana and so forth. And so a pipeline has to be built. I understand it's controversial, but a public purpose must be clearly demonstrated for it, and it'll create jobs. It'll make sure that companies that presently use natural gas for their manufacturing will have it. I think it'll help attract new business to Virginia. And for us as consumers, it'll make sure that we have affordable, reliable supply of natural gas, which is really the fuel of the future. It's affordable, and it is generally speaking a clean-burning fuel as well. So we got to get it to us. And the fact that on the Atlantic Coast pipeline deal, they're completely subscribed. The existing pipelines are completely maxed out, and they're, as far as the ACL, which would go through Nelson County and ultimately to service the Hampton Roads area. It is. They already have 90% of what they're going to be transporting. Already have customers for it, whether it's from utilities or manufacturers, and it'll help economic development along the route, as will the Mountain Valley Pipeline as well. That's a different route, and they're a little bit, they still haven't made their application to the federal agency yet, but they should by the end of this month.
And the other thing, Governor Allen, with the Atlantic Coast Pipeline, along with, you know, supplying a source of energy that is cheaper and makes sense for Virginians and those along the pipeline, but it's the jobs aspect of it. I mean, you can't get industry to come in to an area if you can't supply them with affordable energy. I mean, this is just a reality. And
yeah,
so
you're exactly right, John. When I was governor, I spent the number one claim on my time was economic development, attracting new investment, expansion of business to Virginia, and we were very successful. There were over 300,000 net new jobs created during our 4 years when I was in office. And listening to those who are making these economic decisions, they care a lot about, obviously, the cost of doing business, the taxes, the cost of regulations, prompt permitting, a skilled, capable workforce. And then there are some on energy. The cost of energy is a major issue, as is right-to-work laws. But on energy, some needed natural gas, and I know darn well a lot of chemical, fertilizer, plastics, forestry products, tire manufacturers. So many manufacturers need a ready supply of natural gas, and indeed, this wonderful shale gas and shale oil boom, particularly in natural gas, has made America a more attractive place for manufacturing, because the number one cost for a lot of these manufacturers is not labor costs, but in fact feedstock. And having a plentiful, reliable, affordable supply of natural gas will help us diversify our economy. It'll help the Hampton Roads area, South Side, really every region of Virginia, by having this natural gas coming in, which, again, is a key focus for so many companies when they're making a decision on where to invest and create jobs.
This is the John Fredericks Radio Network across Virginia. We're with former Virginia Governor and Senator George Allen talking pipeline, energy, and jobs. Governor, I want to get to some of the opposition on the pipeline. Everybody understands that some of the more extreme environmentalists are opposed to it for reasons that we've had ad nauseum. Now, though, we're getting Republicans opposed to at least one or two of these pipelines because of eminent domain issues. Now, look, whenever you build anything, there's always an eminent domain issue. But we've got one candidate running for State Senate, District 21, Southwest Virginia, an area that is starving for new energy jobs, Nancy Dye, who has reversed her position on the pipeline and is now on the opposition side of it, saying that it's a property rights issue. How do we navigate our way through that?
Well, what they need to do is the proposals have to be the best, the least intrusive approach, minimize any environmental or cultural or historic impacts from it, and I'm one who is a strong proponent of property rights. The balance is that if a public need or public purpose is clearly demonstrated, and I think it is clearly demonstrated that our existing pipelines are maxed out and we need a new way of getting a flow of natural gas into Virginia, that public purpose has been demonstrated, or the public need, just like an interstate highway or a school being built, that the school population of children is growing in a particular county. In those cases, the property is condemned and the property owners are compensated for it. And so I can understand why a lot of this can get controversial. And there'll be local folks that will care about different things. But you take, for example, in Giles County, there's a Celanese plant there. And they just needed another spur, as I understand it, in Giles County. This is in Southwest Virginia. Mm-hmm. And they needed a spur of more natural gas to keep that plant going. Well, if they don't have natural gas or a good supply of it, or it has to be interrupted for any reason, they're going to say, gosh, if we're going to keep in business, we're going to have an uninterrupted, steady supply of affordable natural gas. And so if we're trying to get more jobs in Southwest Virginia, Southside Virginia, and elsewhere, natural gas is a component, plus we want to make sure we have affordable electricity, where more and more of our electricity is going to be generated with natural gas as its source. So while a particular person in a local area may be opposed to it, I look at it maybe as I know how I look at it. Look at it as a governor, and I know darn well what we need to do to make Virginia more attractive for investment and jobs. And in fact, Virginia's economy is kind of going, not very well. Mm-hmm. Virginia's facing the situation somewhat similar to when I was governor in the 90s, where you had the peace dividend and defense spending was way down. And so we felt that we needed to diversify our economy. We focused on technology and manufacturing and recruited businesses from all over the world. Now the defense spending's down because of a lack of leadership in Washington because of the sequester. But the point is Virginia now, though, is not growing in jobs and opportunities, and particularly in rural areas. Why would we not want to have in a rural area every attribute that might be a selling point for a community available in that community? Obviously, in rural areas, for example, land is cheaper. Folks have a great work ethic, and there's pluses and minuses. But if you don't have natural gas, a lot of these manufacturers are going to simply not even put it on their radar screen for consideration. So, looking at things as a governor who wants to create more jobs, more opportunities for people, and particularly in rural areas, I can really see how this natural gas pipelines, both of them, would be an attraction for more investment and more jobs, and so the young people in those areas can get jobs and not have to move away from home to find work.
Governor, it's a jobs magnet, and it's it is very perplexing to me how a Republican and a conservative can be opposed to this when it's going to bring jobs and it's going to bring affordable energy, and it's the future of where we're headed. I mean, anybody that's in Southside or Southwest Virginia that is out of a job because of what's happened to that economy and Obama's war on coal and et cetera, to not be in favor of trying to make this work is just mind-boggling to me. Governor, let's get to the Mountain Valley Pipeline. I know they're still getting their application set, but, there's another huge opportunity for Virginia, and now that's being stalled. How do we get that moving?
Well, that one, the one I was talking about, Giles County, that's the one that would be, Giles County be served by that Mountain Valley Pipeline.
Right.
There's a slight distinction in the two, but the points remain the same. Utilities need natural gas for electricity generation, and you and I and all your listeners want affordable electricity, and the only reason that we have not felt the pain at the switch because of the knocking out of coal by regulations is because we have such abundance of natural gas, and so it is electricity generation that is affordable. Whether you're in Southside, Southwest, Hampton Roads, anywhere in Virginia, customers are more and more demanding natural gas in their homes, in their businesses, because of its affordability, and it's relatively clean burning. And so anybody who wants to be heating their homes or their businesses or trying to meet projected consumer demand, we're going to need more natural gas, and the same applies in the Mountain Valley as the Atlantic Coast Pipeline one. In fact, I think Roanoke just signed on the local Roanoke area natural gas distributors, an investor in that, and that's going to help the Roanoke area have a good supply of natural gas along their supply line, and also expand its Southwest Virginia customer base. I know a lot of folks, when they're looking at new houses, for example, they want to see, is it electric or is it a gas stove?
Right.
And natural gas it's faster and it is cheaper than electricity. So again, it's a quality of life. It's an economic opportunity matter for South Side and Southwest Virginia. And I saw one candidate was going to Drake Extrusion in Martinsville. That's a company that's headquartered in Great Britain, which we recruited in when I was governor. And again, energy for them matters a lot. And you would just think, whether it's the Celanese plant, whether it's the Goodyear tire plant in Danville or elsewhere, just talk to a lot of the manufacturers that are in that region and ask them, hey, does a reliable, affordable supply of natural gas mean something to you? And I guarantee you the answer will be a resounding yes. And it's important for the future opportunities of people along that route.
No question. And also the fact of the matter is companies or industries can come in and locate along the pipeline and actually tap into it. That's another job creator thing that people don't realize. I got to get
well,
to...
that's a good point. There's so people understand there are, as far as the pipeline and tapping into, it's like an exit off of an interstate. And, there's not a lot of exits, but there are exits, and those exits along an interstate end up helping. Even an interstate going by is helpful to the economic opportunities and attractiveness of an area. And indeed, there are more miles presently in Virginia of more miles of natural gas pipelines than there are in interstates. And that's so when people say, oh, gosh, this is something that's unusual for Virginia. No, we have them, but most of them were built back in the 1960s, and I think the last one was done in really the 1990s, but the demand has increased significantly since those days. And the pipelines generally are, for the most part, underground, and they're going by very safely, schools and homes and all the rest.
So, Governor, I've got about 1 minute remaining.
Okay.
So your record as governor, I mean, it was unmatched in job creation and economic growth in Virginia. Right now we have chaos on the Republican side for Governor 2017. Would you ever consider getting in the race?
Susan and I are enjoying helping out people who share our views, and I do think this next governor's race is important. It's early. Obviously, Mark Obenshain's declaration that he's not running has gotten people thinking of it earlier than even most would have considered, and there's a lot of folks who encourage me and encourage Susan as well to run. But right now, I'm enjoying the freedom, and I like working in the economic development areas and advocating American manufacturing competitiveness, as well as Reagan Ranch Presidential Scholar for the Young America's Foundation, and I like helping out people who have those same common sense conservative principles, and I hope we'll nominate someone who'll continue policies that'll make Virginia attractive for business and our communities safe, promote the work ethic as well as standards in our education system that are high, and bring accountability there. So there's a lot of good legacies from my days as governor, and I want to make sure that they're preserved and improved.
Well, it sounds like we should be talking then about your wife potentially running for governor. That would be an issue. Come on, Senator, that would be a great. She'd make a great candidate. Come on,
I'm not going to have you, John.
You know that.
Create new news, and I don't want to raise the hour of my wonderful bride, Susan, by saying, "What did you say on John Fredericks Show?" My goodness, now you got this going. So I'll let Susan speak for herself. But both of us are enjoying working for candidates who we really do like, and at the local level and state legislative and statewide as well. And we enjoyed the opportunity to serve the people of Virginia in a variety of ways, and you like seeing that some of those saplings that you planted are still producing fruit and benefits for the people of Virginia in a variety of ways.
All right, Governor George Allen, thanks for being with us, sir. Appreciate the time. Please give my best to your lovely bride, Susan, and tell her we might have to start a draft Susan Allen movement. You never know.
All right,
we might start
all right, John. You're a good instigator, and you take care. Keep smiling, and let me say howdy to all the folks in your listening area. Look forward to seeing y'all on the trail ahead in a variety of ways.